Hey guys, MWUSA Season 3, Episode 178. Right before I turned on this recording, I just thought to myself, I actually said it out loud, am I really doing this? Because I have such an insane route scheduled for tonight, I can't believe that I would actually do it. I just went through everywhere I would stop, how long I would be there, how long it would take to the next place, would the tables be open or not. And I think it's a viable route, but I can't believe I would actually do it. It would be driving through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states, 8 casinos, over 9 hours of actual driving, leaving now Sunday afternoon. 8 casinos, 3 casinos to play blackjack. I just don't know if I can do it or not, because it's already afternoon, already done a lot of stuff today, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm actually going to do this. So right now I'm going to say yes, I'm going to do it, because I can always abandon it. I can abandon it after I get to my 4th casino. I can no longer abandon it. At that point it has to be yes or no. So we'll see what happens, I guess. Right now it's 86 degrees outside. Like I said, Sunday afternoon. I have done so much work since I talked to you last. I've been very frustrated, very perplexed about the things that have been going on, and I haven't even discussed it all. There's been so much odd behavior happening at some of these casinos. I'm actually starting to think of some theories that I don't really want to entertain. Let's just say that for now. So I started with, number 1, looking at my charts. Number 2, looking at past performance, comparing it to current performance, and I decided there's 3 possibilities. Number 1, I'm doing something wrong. Number 2, bad variance. Number 3, the casinos are doing something. That's the only things that it could be, right? So number 1, I started looking at my game. I started practicing counting cards and verifying that I'm right on the count. 1 deck, 2 decks, 3 decks, 4 decks, 6 decks. Went through all that, and the 1 deck, I had some issues for a while, but it turned out that I was sitting in my recliner and one of the cards had slipped between the cushions and fell on the floor, and I'm like, why am I either 0 or 1 off every single time? And it's because a card had fallen. And that made me feel a lot better to discover that that's the case there. But I was averaging about 15 to 16 seconds, 0 mistakes on a single deck, on a double deck, on a 4 deck, and then went to a 6 deck. So in all of that, the most I was ever off was 1 card. There may have been once when I was off by 2, but I'm talking about doing a single deck probably 100 times, reasonably, 75 to 100 times, a double deck 20 times, 4 deck 10 times, and 6 deck 5 times. That's a lot of daggone cards, if you ask me. That is a lot of work, and I was fried, and I did everything. I looked at deviations, I compared what I think and what it is, and verified that I was doing everything right there. My counts are good, my counts are fast. Now, what's left then? Okay, so there could be where I'm getting distracted. I doubt it, right? I mean, I'm closing in on I'm between 1,500 and 2,000 hours right now. Me being distracted? Probably not. So my kids were talking to me at the same time that I was doing this, and I was able to keep up and answer them. I'm able to keep conversations in casinos with no problem. So I'm going to say the odds of it being me are probably, there's three things it could be. I'm going to say 10%. Now, number three, we're going to skip number two. We're going to go to number three. Number three is casinos cheating, or casinos doing something underhanded, or something weird happening. Well, that may be a product of me in my brain saying, lately, in the last month, is there a way to set up or, quote, rig a deck so that no matter where you cut it, you're going to have losing sessions? And I lost, I didn't have time to go through it all, and I really need a computer, but I thought of some ways that you could do a single deck, no problem, where you lose almost every or every hand playing one hand, okay? I also thought of ways that you could lose most hands playing one or two hands, which is a sequence of big cards in the front, but then it would be a big negative count and I may leave, or too big, too small, back and forth, aces stuck together, all these different things. But this is still something that's unproven by anyone, unproven by me, and it's just a theory in my own head. Is it possible? Anything is possible. I'm going to say 5%. All right? Which is probably high, but I'm going to say 5%. So that leaves 85% for number two, which is variance. Is it possible that I have in 3 or 4, well, I guess it's more than that, in 10 or 12 sessions, that I can have 2 or 3 sessions where I have 3 standard deviation swings? Come on, 2 standard deviation swings, maybe? 3 standard deviation swings? Seems awfully unlikely. And I'm talking about shoes where I'm winning 2 or 4 or 5 hands, the whole shoe heads up. I don't know. I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm trying to make sense of what is happening. What is happening here? All right, let's let that go. Let's talk about what's going on right now. Yesterday, my wife and I and one of our kids went to Amish country. It's a long drive. One of my kids had a sporting event halfway there, so we were only a few hours away. So the kid got a ride home with the school on the school bus, and then someone picked them up from the school and drove them home, no problem. So now we continued on to Amish country. Over there, we looked at a couple things. We looked at some couches / sectionals / recliners, and we looked at new cabinets for the kitchen. So, as you know, I've had issues with these recliners lately, and that's brought it more to the forefront that maybe I should do something more quality. Everything that I bought from the Amish so far has been bulletproof. It's been perfect, done exactly the way we wanted, no issues, no problems, no nothing, right? So I thought, let's go there and look at recliners, look at sectionals, and look at couches. I've never really liked sectionals because I've kind of thought of them, I don't know, I just never really liked them. But I found a nice traditional looking sectional with wide arms, like 6 or 8 inches wide, solid, I'm talking super solid, firm seating, very nice sectional with a chaise lounge, is that what you call it? The guy called it a chase lounge, but I don't think that's right. So on one end, it's like an L shape. One side is about 11 feet with that chaise lounge, and then the 4 cushions across. And then the other side, 90-degree angle, is 4 cushions across also, just normal seating. And then I looked into a recliner, but Amish people are small people, and so I got them to specially make a recliner for me that's 3 inches wider, 3 inches longer, very nice, non-electric, and it also doesn't have the what do you call it, the arm that you pull, the lever. It doesn't have the lever, so you could actually just lean back and it would convert into an easy chair or a recliner. So we decided to do that, and we picked the material out for it. So we decided to get the sectional, the recliner, and 3 side tables, which would include two USB ports and 2 electric outlets in each table, and they would match the current coffee table that we got from there. And they agreed to stain the legs of the recliner and the sectional to match the coffee table and the side tables that we got. And that was $6,000. That included them driving many hours to our house and setting it up, installing it, and getting it done. I think that was a decent deal for all that. And it's made out of a material, it's a cloth material that's very sturdy, very nice, easy to clean, no Scotch guard needed or anything like that. So we did that. Now, this guy and my wife have been working on a map for cabinets for our kitchen for months, back and forth. And as soon as I saw it, I said, no, I don't like it. And I didn't mean it in any kind of a rude way, but it didn't make a lot of sense the way it was. There was the current kitchen that we have just basically redone, and then but one set of cabinets removed for a hood for the stove, and a set of benches where along the wall where the kitchen table is right now. And I thought that was not a good idea. I decided, let's take the benches out, extend the countertop another 24 inches, and then you'd have more cabinet space under the countertop, another 24 more inches of cabinet space above it, and that's what we're going to go with. However, I did not like the price. The price was $18,000, not including countertops. I think that's way too high. It comes out to only about 12 cabinets. That's $1,500 a cabinet. I think that's extremely expensive. And once I get the new map from him, the new drawing from him, then I'm probably going to shop around and see if I can get a better deal somewhere else. But for now, I did put a deposit down on the other stuff, and it should be delivered in 8 to 10 weeks, and I'll let you know how that goes. Right now, this minute, I have almost a full tank of gas. I am on my way to the first casino. We're going to get there. We're going to have a great day today. We're going to make good money today. The extra area that I added is an area I don't go to very often because it's so far away. It's usually not worth it, but I think I'm going to do it. And it is a double-deck table with the best rules and pretty good penetration. And those of you who know me know which one I'm talking about. It's the one that is dealt out of a shoe, double deck out of a shoe. And I think I'm going to try to hit that if timing is right. I'm probably going to, I was going to say I was going to call my host and make sure it's going to be open, but I'm sure it's going to be open. So we're going to try that, see how it goes today. I would love to make 5,000 or 6,000 today, just to say, you know, F you to the system, and really just try to get back on track again. So that's what's going on right now. Sorry for the long segment. I'll be back. All right, guys, I am back. So I go into this first spot, not expecting a lot. Sunday, packed usually. I went in anyway, took a look around, and right away I saw a play. Now, this play is a high denomination play, it's either going to fizzle out after 1 or 2 spins, or it's going to drag out for possibly 30-40 spins at $6 a spin. And then you're going to know if you got something or if you got nothing. That's the way this certain play works. I sit down, I've got a little bit of free play, I load up the free play, $6 a spin, push it 1 time, and it fizzles out instantly. So I'm like cursing, like right away I'm cursing. I've done 1 spin today. I haven't done a hand of anything, 1 spin, and I'm already cursing the casino. So I get up, I look for something else, I find another play, make a few bucks on it, I'm doing fine. Then find another play on a new machine that was recently installed that is just destroying everybody because nobody understands it. And by the time they all understand it, no one's ever going to play it again because they'll realize how much money it's going to take from you. But it was in position, $1 a spin. And remember now, the new way I'm doing this, I'm rounding everything, so it could be anywhere. But it's around $1, so I'm going to call it $1 a spin. And I sit down. It took me about 30 or 40 spins. I hit that one, had a nice payout on that one, put me up a couple $100. Moved on, found another machine, played that one, won another little bit of money. So then as I'm walking around, this lady walks up to me and asks me, hey, did you ever figure out what happened with so-and-so you were wondering about the other day, and all this stuff. And there was a problem with something. I figured it out. I told her I got it all figured out, and she was happy. Talked to her for a minute. She said that her husband was waiting for some drawings, and I never do that stuff. I know I probably should figure out the math, but I don't go to a casino enough to have enough entries to be a factor usually. And I have won, and in fact recently I've won decent stuff, although one time, I don't know if I mentioned it, where they called my name and I was eating. I don't even want to discuss that one, where they knew where I was and they called my name, and they knew the speakers were broken in that area, but then they didn't come tell me. That made me frustrated. But anyway, so I walk around the rest of the place and I'm done. And when I first walked in, the second machine I looked at was frozen up. It thought that the door was open on the machine, and so you couldn't play it. So I pushed the service button and nobody came, so I walked away from it. And as I was leaving, I noticed that they'd worked on it a few times, and as I was leaving, I wanted to see if it had been cleared up. So I cash out my ticket. I'm ahead 269, and I go over to this one just to see on my way out. And it turns out that, yes, they did clear it up, but someone was sitting at it, and she was playing it and at a higher denomination, ran out of money, lowered her bet, ran out of money, lowered her bet, and so on until she ran out of money completely. She gets up, and I sit down, and I see there's plays everywhere on this machine. I put a $5 bill in, lose that, put another $5 bill in, and that's all I needed. And that carried me through, and I turned that $5 into 267, I believe, something like that, dollars. And then I was for sure done, right? So I'm leaving, I had $536 at this point, and I see the same lady that I talked to when I first walked in, and she's like, I said, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I know, got myself in a pickle, I shouldn't have even played this. I said, well, you've got an out, this is gonna happen next, take that money and get out. And she thought that's a good idea, so I let her go, and I walked out of there ahead $536 on our first stop. So very happy about that. Ready to move on to our next spot. I'm already a few minutes behind schedule if I want to get home by 6 or 7 in the morning, but we're gonna go for it, man. If I end up way behind, like 2 hours behind, then I'll skip the really far away places and I'll bring it back in. But as of right now, we're still on for everything. We're moving on to the next casino. It's 91 degrees outside, and I'll come back and hopefully give you some more good news. Okay, guys, I am back. So I heard some rumors while I was here, actually. So I'm pulling into the parking lot, and they're like questioning me in the parking lot. And this hasn't happened for a long time. I used to get here real early in the morning, and people would try to use their parking garage and then go to work, like park in the casino parking lot and go to work. So they would require you to either have a card, which you could just flash someone else's card that you found, or you'd have to get 10 points to get your parking money back, and you'd have to pay for parking up front. Anyway, today there was someone sitting there, and she's asking me why I'm here. I'm like, why do you think I'm here? It's like, this is a casino. And she told me that there was some other stuff going on around town, and she didn't know if I was here for that, and I said no. And she let me in. She took my word for it, so whatever. I go in, and I see the tables are all full. I do see one table that has one person on it and another guy waiting to get on. I decide that's my best option right now. I'm not playing as high as I was before, so I'm gonna have to sit down with some other people sometimes. So I sit down, buy in for 500. Did you hear that? That was the breeze taking my money with it. Gone. Buy in for another 500, last for a little while on that, and then finally buy in for another 500 for a double down, and end up losing that double down. And at this point, I'm in for a total of $1,500, and things start to level off a little bit. And we finish off a couple shoes. Then another guy comes to the table. So there were three of us. One guy busted out and he left. Another guy comes to the table, sits in the middle, and he starts playing. And he's telling us that someone just got kicked out of the casino, allegedly, by him, saying allegedly he won $40,000 and they backed him off. And I'm like, and I said, that doesn't sound right. I said, if he won $40,000, they'd want to keep him here so they could win their money back. And he said, well, I guess he was on some list or something. So whoever you are, good job. You know where I am, since I know about your story. Anyway, I kept on playing, and it was negative counts the first three shoes. I think I raised one time in those first three shoes. Finally got some decent shoes, turned some things around, and had some serious choppy ups and downs. Everyone's complaining, but what are you going to do? Honestly, oh, that's pretty cool. Started looking at some decorations here. Honestly, this is probably the most fair casino blackjack-wise that I visit. And it's a shame that I don't visit very often, but it's just so out of the way. That's why I'm doing this 9-hour journey today, and it's part of that journey. But it really is a pretty fair casino. And I ended up leaving at the end of a shoe plus 600. So plus 600, no slots, no nothing. And we're moving on here. So we're going to move on, and actually, yeah. So we're moving on to another casino. It should be a close one, about half an hour away. And then we'll have a couple far ones back to back. And then we'll figure out what to do. Actually, I'm going to go to this one half an hour away, and then another one an hour away. At that point, I'm going to decide to shorten my trip or keep it long, and I will let you know what happens with that. So right now, we're hanging in there, barely making any money, but we're doing something at least. So letting you go for now, and I'll be back to update you. All right, guys, I'm back. I am trying to get out of the parking lot of this casino. Very busy, lots of people checking machines, and generally not a lot of machines here that are beatable. So I was in and out of there pretty quickly and didn't find anything to play. I didn't even see anything that anyone was playing that was close to being a play for me. So just overall, no opportunity in there. So right now we are going to move on to the next casino. We're going to sit back and relax, and the sun will be setting here shortly, and then I will be back and update you. Alright guys, so just leaving this casino. Technically I have passed the state line 5 times, so technically I'm in a sixth state of the day. So I go into this casino, very busy. I'm looking around for slots first, and I'm not finding anything at all. I'm looking everywhere. It's a big place, but I'm not finding any plays. Finally, I settle on one machine and end up ahead $35. No big deal. Before I had played that machine, I had gone into the blackjack area. There's only one playable table, and as soon as I'd walked back there, no mid-shoe entry, they were playing the first hand of the shoe. So I came back around, and I sat down about halfway through the shoe, waited for them to finish, and it's a hand shuffle, which is an interesting concept because you don't really see that very often. And I attempted to follow a slug of cards, and the shuffle was a good shuffle, but I was able to successfully follow the slug. I was able to make a couple $100 off it. No big deal. I'm talking about half a deck or 3/4 of a deck, so nothing major. And of course, it gets diluted when it's shuffled, but overall, that ended up pretty good. I bought in for $500, and that lasted one or two shoes. That was gone, and the end of actually, it lasted longer than that because it was about 3 or 4 shoes into it when I started getting bigger counts, and I started raising my bet to 100, to 200, 250, 300, and at the end of that shoe, I just got pummeled and got taken down from, I bought in for 500, I had it up to like 950, and by the end of the shoe, I was at 0. So at that point, I had multiple people at the table with me, so I decided to switch to a second table, which had just opened up, but they had not played any hands there yet. Switch over to that other table, and this Asian guy that's at the table with me says, "Oh, I go with you, like we're buddies, I go with you." "Okay, come on, you're welcome, come on over." So I buy for a second 500 at that table, and again, right away, not very good, but it levels off relatively quickly, and then I tread water for a very long time. I was actually playing back there for an hour and 55 minutes, so basically 2 hours of play, and I had a couple shoes where, the first table I was never ahead $1. The second table I was up like 450, about halfway through a shoe, and by the end of the shoe I was down a bunch. I don't know how much, but a bunch. And I finally started clawing my way back and ended up leaving at the end of another shoe plus 505. So plus 505. And I'm definitely grinding it these days like never before. I'm playing lower limits right now temporarily, as we've discussed before. And it's taken me through the grinder every time. So builds character, I guess. So it was a successful trip though, plus 505 on the blackjack and plus 35 on the slots. And I had an interesting conversation with one of my dealers while I was waiting for that first blackjack table to open. I was watching a baccarat table. As it turns out, the Filipino dealer on that table is this guy's wife. This guy's a white guy, and so I had watched that for a little while, and finally sat at the first table and moved over to the second table, and he was telling me about how he met his wife. And well, with her being from the Philippines and he's from here, there's limited number of things it could be, and he's about 65, so there's very limited things that it could be. And he tells me that he met his wife because he was playing a game online, and they met each other that way. There's a stalled vehicle ahead, guys. Be careful up there. I'm going to turn these alerts off. I don't need them. Anyway, so the game, and I don't care if they out me or if they know that it was me that told you the story, because there's got to be only one dealer in the country that this happened to. So I'm going to tell you the story anyway. I don't need this place that much anyway. By the way, the place I'm going to, I've never been to from this location to that location, so these are all new roads for me. But anyway, so This game is called Yoville. It's like Farmville, and it was by a company called Zynga, and they were both playing this game. She was in the Philippines, and he was in the States, in the Midwest, and you could actually talk on it using MySpace at that time. There was no Facebook, MySpace. So he would write songs, and he would play on the game, and then when he'd meet people on the game, he would direct them to his MySpace page so they could listen to his songs. Very interesting. So he met his wife playing Yoville, and you're basically building a farm, and you're harvesting and all this stuff, and in the game you can earn coins, or you can buy coins. And what his wife was doing was he and her had figured out a loophole in the game, and so they could get lots of coins. And every day her son would pick up, I don't know how, if it's on a memory stick or how it worked out, pick up the coins and take them into town to sell them. And she was making a living selling the coins from this game. Is that not an interesting story? Come on, guys. How could you make this up? And so they started talking on this game, and eventually they ended up falling in love and meeting each other. So, you know, and it's interesting because he was telling me about how they, I just passed a cop with his lights off, which is interesting, how they don't go out and do anything because they try to save money, even though they're older now. But he told me for their 10th anniversary, they all went to a steak place, and for their 20th anniversary, they're going to go to another steak place. Is that not crazy? They're going to wait 10 years between. I guess they've been married for 11 years, and now they're already planning where they're going to go in 9 years. Are you kidding me? So anyway, so that was interesting. The Asian guy at the table with me lost about $2,000. He was playing these side bets, and it didn't help that I was hitting the top prizes repeatedly on the side bet, but it's not countable. Actually, technically it is countable, and I have discussed the side bet, and if you really remember all my podcast episodes, it's an episode where it was like a plus 25 or a minus 25 that this would become profitable, and you can kind of figure, actually no, it wasn't that. That would have been the, yeah, it would have been. So, I would never be at the table if it's minus 25, and if it's plus 25, and I'm betting, ridiculous, probably, table max, I don't know. I'm not going to worry too much about the side bet. So, anyway, that's what's going on right now. I'm heading to this next place. I won't be there till after midnight, and I'll be back to update you. Alright guys, I am back. I didn't realize this, but the next casino, I just left this casino, and I'm going to tell you about it here in a second, but I didn't realize it, but the next casino backtracks 70 miles almost before you go off to another area. So the next casino is well over 100 miles away. I went into this casino about 2 hours ago. It's after 2 a.m. right now. And first thing I did is look at slot machines and walked around. It was very busy in there, but still wasn't finding much. And then I found a play and started playing that one. That one was about $4 a spin. Played that one, and then it did something that made it not a play anymore. So I abandoned that one. I was ahead like 130, and then I went and played blackjack, and then came back, played another machine, lost a couple dollars, and then I played one more machine, and I won a little bit on that, but then I found another play on another level before I left and played that one through, and that one was kind of agonizing. That one took about 20 minutes or so, and played that through, and I ended up ahead $224 on the slots. Now, blackjack was the main event, right? That was the reason that I came out here. double deck table, but it was full. So there was some other tables that are also hand shuffles, and I'm like, man, hand shuffle takes so long. But the double deck uses a automatic shuffler. Isn't that weird? The shoe that would take about 2 seconds to shuffle uses an automatic shuffler, but the 6 deck in the high limit does not. And then there's an 8 deck. The rest of the casino is all 8 deck. Disgusting, bad rules, bad penetration, slow dealers, slow players, side bets. It's like, why even put yourself through all that? So I wasn't going to do that. This double deck was a nice double deck. I went over there and I walked by the first time. I didn't sit down because there were 3 guys playing on the table, and 4 is way too many. And as it turns out, I didn't realize it, but one of them was actually playing 2 hands as well. So finally I came back around and I sit at the table. Only one guy was playing at that point, and I sit down, buy in for 500, and then the other guy buys in again, or not buys in, but he's already in. Actually, you know what? He did buy in. He bought in for 2,000. So I don't know if he lost his money earlier or not. I just thought of that. But he bought in for $2,000, and these 2 guys sitting next to me were doing so well. The one guy colored up about 7,000 in chips. The other guy colored up about 3,000 in chips. And I'm still up 100, down 150, up 200, back and forth and back and forth. 5 shoes, 10 shoes, 12 shoes, 14, and on and on and on. And I'm in like a tight $500 range. And then I finally get a shoe with some decent counts, and I raise a little bit, and I get smacked in the face. And by the end of that shoe, I'm rebuying, and so I'm in for a total of $1,000 at that point. A couple more shoes go by, uneventful, make 100, lose 100, and then another active shoe, and I end up having to buy in again. So now I'm in for $1,500. So I'm like, it's really not that big a deal because I'm getting good pen, I'm getting good rules, but it's pitch, and normally that's not a big deal. But one guy is now playing 2 hands and one guy is playing 1. The guy playing 2 hands is right-handed. He's on first base, and when he picks up his 2 cards, I can see him and I can count them, no problem, and I can make decisions based on that count. His other 2 cards he picks up with his left hand, so I can't see those. And the guy sitting next to me sometimes will flip him over, sometimes he won't. And then this guy, when he's tucking his cards in, on pitch, once you're done, you tuck your 2 cards under your chips. That's how they know you're done. He's picking up his chips and putting them on top of the cards every time. And she finally warns him, and he stops doing it. But he did that for a good 45 minutes, and nobody said a word to him. You know how easy it is to add chips or remove chips when you do that? Oh my God, especially he's got big hands too. These guys are 2 really big athletic guys. So anyway, a couple more shoes go by, and now I'm bopping around at like 300. And finally I get like this dream shoe, and it's at minimum bet or almost minimum bet. And I'm like, the whole way through I lose 1 hand, but it's all negative or neutral counts, so I'm not raising my bet. And it's driving everybody around me crazy because they're like, you just won 5 in a row. Why aren't you raising? Why aren't you capping it? Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? And finally, after a while, I ended up, my goal was to make 1,000 or more, and it just was not going to happen. I ended up leaving ahead 800 on the blackjack, and like I said, 224 on the slots. So we're up like, whatever, 2,300 for the day. Not bad, 25, whatever. And we still got stops. So how many places did we go to so far? We went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places already. And we're going to hit at least 2 more places, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's going to be a long time before I get to the next one, so I may... grab something to eat while I'm in there, and we'll go from there. I did get some food at this last casino. Got some chicken, and got some candy bars, chips, and they have like these mints. It's actually a pretty good idea. So like, let's say you had $40 in comps and you're at $38.50. These mints are 25 cents each. They're like the peppermint patty type things, or Andes or one of those things. So then you can make it exactly the amount that your comps are. But so I ended up with some of those and some chips. So I'm gonna sit back and relax and enjoy the ride and not stress. And I'll be back with you after the next stop. Alright guys, right now it's 3 a.m. Still continuing my trip to the next casino. Starting to feel a little bit tired here, but so far so good. Right now I expect that I could be home between 7 and 8 would probably be the fastest I could get home. I do have an appointment at 10 a.m. with a guy. My wife's van is giving her some issues with some alerts, so this guy is well trained in mechanics, auto mechanic, and so I'm supposed to meet with him at 10. And so if I get home at 8, I sleep till 9:15. I meet with him at 10, and then I'll take my son with me to meet with him, and then we're supposed to go fishing after that. So it's going to be an interesting day. Hopefully everything is all right. But still continuing on right now. Temperature's starting to rise already. It's 68 degrees, and I'll be back to update you soon. Alright guys, I am back. Sorry about the long episode here, but it's a long night. Very, very, very long night. Alright, so I go into this next spot. By the way, right now it is already after 5 a.m., so there's no way I'm making it home by 8. So maybe by 9 o'clock I'll be home. But I am moving on to the next spot. I just finished up here, just trying to replay it here in my head. When I walked in, I found a couple small plays, made just a few dollars. Man, it seems like it was so long ago. And then I ended up playing a really big play at about $2 a spin, and it took like 45 minutes. And during that play, I was involved for as much as $820. I was down to about $20 or less in the machine, and ended up leaving that machine with $528 or something like that. So I was down almost $300 when I left that machine. Found some other small plays, and then found one that in the daytime is just impossible to find a play on. But I found there's 4 of them. I found a play on each of the 4, and that got me up to like $615. I go around the back part of the casino, and then to the far side of it, and I found a play there at at $6, but I accidentally played it at $1 for like 5 spins, and it actually had like a $30 payout, which was very helpful. And then I went ahead and played the $6 a spin play, and that one paid nicely. That got me up to $988. So now I'm ahead like $160. And then I had to go to the bathroom. I was looking for the bathroom. I find one, it's closed. I find another one, it's closed. So I had to use the family bathroom thing, which is weird that they would close all the bathrooms at the same time. But on my way to that bathroom, I saw a guy playing a machine, and he was pounding away at it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to come back on the way back and take a look and see if he left anything. So I come back, he's still pounding on it, and I'm wondering what's going on, and it was jammed up. The door or something was messed up. So I showed him how to push the service button. I went and got myself a drink, and I came back, and they had cleared it up for him, and he had left a play on there at $1 a spin, and I hit that for $63 when it did hit, and I ended up walking away with $1,042, which means I was ahead $222. So that was a long stay at that place, but it definitely paid off in the end. It was crazy for a while because this guy was playing a machine like mine right next to me, and he had no clue what he was doing, and he was getting so lucky, and he ended up walking away about $400 ahead, and I was down almost $300 on that machine. So you never know. I mean, you can always leave it up to chance, but in the long run, it's going to whittle you down to nothing. So, you know, what we do doesn't always work 100% of the time, but it sure is pretty close to it. You know, I mean, if I go to 100 casinos, I'm going to win probably 90 plus of those. If I have my math correct on those slots, you know, and if it's not like a one play, if it's a one play, I can't count that. But if you're getting 3 or 4 or 5 plays at a place, you can win the majority of the time, even if it's not 90, let's say 80% of the time. All right. Right now, I'm moving on to another place, not because I'm hungry for more places, because I'm not. I'm pretty tired right now, but it's on the way home. So I'm going to go to one more place, and then we'll start heading toward home. We'll need gas now, and everything is all happening all at the same time. So we're going to stop, we're going to get gas, we're going to go to the next place, and then I'll be back to update you. All right, guys, I am back. So yeah, definitely feeling a little bit of tiredness right now, but I am okay to drive still. I go into this place, and it's pretty much dead at this point, and I'm walking around looking for some small plays, and I'm trying to remember here where I was at this point. I found one play, and it was $1 a spin, and I made like $30. And then went to another play and found that one. It was about $2 a spin. Played that one through. That took me to being ahead, I want to say $80. And then there was one that I wasn't sure about, so I thought I would just come back and take a look at it later. And I went over to my favorite machines to look at those. And they had the chair pulled back because they were replacing the money drawer thing that goes in there. So I'm checking the machine, and sir, you can't do that right now. I'm like, okay, this area is closed. I said, okay. So I leave and I come back probably 5 minutes later, and they had pushed the chairs back in. So I go to check the machine. Sir, I told you this area is closed. I'm like, I just want that machine. There's nobody there. No, I'm sorry. It's going to be at least 10 more minutes. I leave. I do some other stuff. I come back, and now I'm actually ahead a little bit more than that. And then the machine is empty, and the guy is gone. So I check it, and the one next to it, and wouldn't you know it, there's no plays anyway. So it was like so frustrating. This guy, it's right there. It'll take me 2 seconds just to look at it. I'm sorry, sir, you can't do that. So I ended up, and then there was a kiosk there. I was like, well, I'm just going to check the kiosk. It's not part of the slot machine area. It's over on the side, probably 10 feet away. I go to swipe my card. Sir, I told you this area. I'm like, no, you didn't. So anyway, I did end up playing probably 3 or 4 small plays, and they all went pretty well, and I ended up leaving ahead. I just had the number, I want to say 224, but no, 178 plus $178. And yeah, at this point we've got plenty of fuel, and the roads should still be clear for a little while longer before rush hour. And we're gonna, well, there's no rush hour if it's Labor Day, and we're gonna head toward home now. keep this open just in case something happens on the way. But overall, I think it was a good day. I think we are closing in on 3,000. I'm not sure. 2,800 maybe would be my guess. I'd have to go back and add it up, but I'm heading toward home now, and I see the sun barely starting to come up in the distance, and I'm sure by the time I get home, the sun will be completely up, and hopefully I can get home and get in bed before any of the kids are up, because by the time I get home, I think I'm going to have an hour before I have to get up. So that's what's going on right now. I'll be back to update you if anything happens. Alright guys, I am back. No energy drinks, no coffee, still doing great. The sun is up, still heading home, and that's going to be it for right now. Tomorrow is Monday. Normally I'm going to be at a casino a couple times during the day on Monday while I'm working. Tomorrow is going to be a family day, or actually it's today. It's going to be a family day instead. So we'll be looking at my wife's car, taking my son fishing, get a nap in the afternoon, and probably take the family out to dinner tonight or tomorrow night, whichever you want to call it. And then Tuesday, I'll probably get a couple small short sessions in, and then we'll be back to full force Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This week, however, is going to be extremely busy with meetings, and I'm supposed to be learning a new concept, and then I'm supposed to be leading the meetings on them starting next week, and we're talking about up to 23 meetings. So I'll definitely have to work on getting the concept down and getting everything documented, so I can share it with other people and I can intelligently answer questions, and we'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm heading home. If you have any questions or comments, the email is mwusa21@gmail.com, mwusa21@gmail.com. See you next time.